Good evening, good evening, good evening. How's everybody doing tonight on a Thursday? Almost there for the weekend. Everybody doing okay? Can you hear me? Give me a 5 by 5 in the chat if you can hear me. It's been a long week already. Okay, gotta kill some sound over here. That's looking good. Okay. All right. Good evening, Virginia Bushcrafter. How are you, sir? Good evening, Marco. How's everybody doing tonight? It's been a long week today. So hope everybody's made it through the Thursday. Let's talk about what's going on right now with everybody. What how's everybody's week been? What are you working on? Anything special this week? Anything good happen prepping wise? Anybody find any deals? I'm doing good, Bushcrafter. I'm doing good. Just hanging in there one more day. That's all we can do, folks. So tonight's topic, what's in your medical kit? We are going to deep dive into this. Gas prices dropped a little. Okay, Marco, good. Same here. We're going to deep dive into medical kit. And I have a special guest that's going to be joining me that is a good friend of mine. And we're going to do something pretty nice today. This evening, we're actually going to talk about 25 top things or more that should be in your medical kit. Now, we're not talking a boo-boo kit, and we're not talking a VFAC or an IFAC kit. We're talking a well-rounded medical first aid kit. Now, I just see my illustrious guest just stepped into the green room. So we're going to bring him in and introduce my special guest for the evening.
You better hurry up.
There we go. Hester Seal, my man.
How are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Not too bad.
Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Folks, this is one of my guys right here. This Chester is an amazing friend. He is a prepper. I'm going to let him introduce himself and give you some of his background here in a moment. But we're going to talk about 9 categories that you should break down your medical kit in. And we're going to spend some time. We're going to answer some questions in the chat. So stick with us, get some water, get some coffee, get whatever libation you prefer tonight. Sit back, and we're going to have an hour's worth of conversation, discussion, couple jokes. Hey, MMS, welcome. And with that, Chester, why don't you introduce yourself to the folks here and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, I forgot to thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, so I've got a little bit of medical experience. I would say it was cumulatively about 15 years, military and civilian medical, emergency medical, first responder experience.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't get any better than having combat medical experience. So were you a combat medic?
I was in the Army.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Glad to
And then-
hear that.
And then the rest was emergency emergency medicine and response.
Okay. Excellent. 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 That can't be any better than that. So first off, let's do some greetings here. Virginia Bushcrafter, my mother Sparks, Backwoods Rambler, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm trying to see what's going on in the chat before we dive into our topic. Anything else going on this week special? Anybody get any cool preps this week? Anything worthwhile? I'll tell you one thing I'm saving to buy to add to my preps. And I've been wanting this for a while because I'm a big kid at heart. There's this drone that I want that actually is a flame-throwing drone that is commercially made. I'm trying to think of the company. It may be called Flamethrower or Flamethrow, but it's a drone that shoots a flame about 20 or 30 feet. That I'm dying to buy one. It's not a need, but it's a want. So that's one of my cool preps that I want. Good evening, Matt. How are you, my friend? Welcome. So Chester, let's dive into this, and I'm going to play devil's advocate and ask stupid questions all night long, and talk about stupid things. But as you know, and a lot of people in the community, one of the most important preps that I consider outside of food and water is medical. Here at Vision Preparedness, we got 100,000 things going on, getting ready to happen, and medical is one of them. One thing I will suggest to everybody that's watching, if you can find it in your area, take the course. It's called Stop the Bleed, where they actually teach you how to use a tourniquet, compression gauze, wound packing. It is an amazing class. Everybody should know how to do that. And they deal with chest seals and all of the good stuff. So I would highly suggest everybody take a Stop the Bleed course. What are your thoughts on that, Chester?
No, that's definitely a good suggestion. And onto that, I would add a CPR course and a first aid course, maybe even advanced first aid.
There you go. First aid. Now, in the Stop the Bleed course, they also have a section on first aid. And just to go to show you how long it's been since I've actually taken a first aid class, they no longer teach breath in first aid. It's now all just chest compressions.
Right, because I guess the more recent studies have found that you're still able to perfuse with chest compressions. So now they're just focusing more on that because when you do the compressions properly, you actually have the patient inhale and exhale while you're doing those motions. So the key
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right. The key is to do proper chest compressions.
Right.
So definitely taking a course and getting hands-on experience, so to speak, is definitely the key.
Right. Absolutely. Because I asked one of the instructors, I said, well, what happens if I'm doing chest compressions and I actually break a rib? And he laughed. He said, number one, you're actually doing it right if you break a rib. And he said, number two, you don't have to worry about it because the state of Ohio has this Good Samaritan law. So if the person survives, they can't come back and sue you because you're actually rendering aid to them.
Right.
But he said, if you crack a rib, you're doing it the way it should be done. You're compressing the chest like it should be.
Right. No, that's correct. It's just, I mean, of course, that's not your intention is to go out there.
Correct.
Crush somebody's chest, but
yeah. Yes.
It will happen, during the course of CPR.
Right. Yeah. So again, folks, Stop the Bleed course, CPR, advanced CPR, first aid, and advanced first aid. If you can find the classes, take them. We've got some things that we're working on, but wilderness first aid. Matt also said wilderness first aid is pretty comprehensive as well. And I've actually not looked into wilderness first aid, but I do have a wilderness first aid book that is in my library, Matt, that I haven't gotten to, but that's a good suggestion also. So tonight, our 9 categories for your first aid kit that you should break it down that will give you a well-rounded, comprehensive, what I would call advanced first aid kit, because it's not only a trauma kit, it's not only a IFAC or in our case a VFAC kit, things like that. So the 9 categories, and myself and Chester, we're going to talk about items in each one of these categories, is bleeding, airway, burn, sprain and fracture, hydration, topical, medication, adventure and survival, and then a specialty section. So with that, let's dive into this, Chester. So talking about bleeding, when it comes to bleeding, what are some of the things we should carry or have in our medical kit? Give me an item. We'll tag team this.
Well, depending on the person's experience, I think those items could vary. That's a very deep and long rabbit hole you can fall
Correct.
into.
So instead of us jumping in a rabbit hole, let's just talk about the average person and their family. That, what should they keep on hand, for bleeding? I'll throw out my first and foremost for me would be a tourniquet, a cat tourniquet, and because I always carry one, here's one of my cat tourniquets here that I keep on one of my medical kits. I also keep one, or I have a couple of them in my truck at all times. And we'll get more into the cat tourniquet. Definitely, if you take the Stop the Bleed course, you will definitely learn how to use a cat tourniquet. This happens to be a Gen 7. This has been proven, folks, in the TCCC, Tactical Combat Casualty Care. They've been using this all around the world for decades in war. And this has proven to save hundreds, if not thousands of lives during trauma, injuries, punctures, gunshots, any type of massive bleeding. So that would be my first one, would be a good tourniquet. Be careful when you buy tourniquets. Get one that actually, on the packaging, it has, well, even on here, I can show this. I don't know if I can read backwards, but this is a cat tourniquet. What is it? NS something certified. This is a Gen 7 tourniquet. I've seen knockoffs on Amazon and YouTube and eBay, but you want to get a good tourniquet. All right, What do you?
Yep.
What else would you say, Jessica?
Tourniquets are definitely the gold standard, the go-to
Mhm.
tool for massive hemorrhaging. But
Okay.
again, just having it isn't going to do you any good unless you learn how to use it properly.
That's very true. Just
And
having
like,
it ain't gonna help.
nope. I mean, you can have a particle collider. I mean, who needs a particle collider? But if you had one, what's the point if you don't
Particle
know how to use
collider?
it?
That sounds like that hooks onto my flux capacitor.
Right, exactly. What are you going to do with it? You're just going to lug it around and have it take up space when you can't even use it.
Correct. Correct.
But yeah, definitely be aware of where you purchase those items because, like you said, there are knockoffs. I think there's
Mhm.
more knockoffs for the cat tourniquets than the soft teas. I
Gotcha.
think everyone's leaning towards the cats, but
So
yeah.
soft T is another type of tourniquet, correct?
Yes, that's it. That's another one that's approved by the triple C. So
Right.
yeah,
Yep.
that's
Gotcha.
another option.
Okay.
And I would also consider maybe getting two if you're going to put one in the kit at the minimum.
Right.
So
Right. Two folks.
right, because there's I would say probably a 20% chance that
Mhm.
one tourniquet may not be doing what it's supposed to. So there's that 20% chance you may have to add another one.
Okay.
Just
So
something
you're
to think
saying
about.
if you put on a tourniquet and the bleeding hasn't stopped, you should apply a second tourniquet.
Right.
Correct?
That's another option. Yeah.
Right. And I will say this, folks, once you have placed a tourniquet on the injured person, you never, ever, never take it off. Never. Let the medical professionals at the hospital or doctor or whatever take it off. It's a big misnomer talking about if you leave a tourniquet on for so long, that person's going to lose their limb. That is not true. That is not true. So, yes, apply a second tourniquet if necessary.
And also, if you have those tourniquets, please,
Mhm.
please make sure to take the wrapper off and set it up. The last thing you want to do is come on scene and you need a tourniquet and you're fumbling around with a wrapper. That seconds count. Seconds
correct.
count.
Seconds count.
Yeah. I mean, with a
As-
femoral, you cut your femoral artery,
Uh-huh.
you've got average 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes, and you're done.
So you're saying if you cut that artery, you can bleed out and be dead in 3 minutes.
Correct.
Okay. See that, folks? You see any plastic wrap on this? No. None of my tourniquets have plastic wrap that I use or carry with me. None of them have plastic on them. I take them out of the plastic. Okay, so tourniquet. What else? What else can we use to stop bleeding?
You can use one of the other things is Quick Clot. That's
Quick
getting
clot.
unpopular. Yep.
Okay, Quick Clot has hemostatic agent. Is that the correct terminology?
Yes.
Yes. Hemostatic agent in Quick Clot. It's in like gauze that when you apply it, it helps to clot the blood and technically stop the bleeding.
Right.
That's Virginia
another.
Bush.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead. You're fine. Go ahead.
With the Quick Clot, I know those things are usually pretty pricey. Some of you out there, like me, may be on a tight budget. So
yes, here. Tight budget.
There is nothing wrong with purchasing roll gauze or regular gauze that doesn't have the clotting agent, because the main thing that's going to help stop
Uh-huh.
the bleed is actually pressure. So
Pressure.
the
Okay.
agent isn't a deal breaker. It's nice to have, but
Right.
regular ones are just as good. So don't, if you're sweating the prices of those things, because Lord knows those are only going to go up if you can find them.
Correct.
Stock up on the regular ones.
Right. So you're saying you can take regular gauze and pack a wound with it, apply pressure, and that will help stop whatever the wound is from bleeding out,
Right.
and then wrap it.
Yeah.
So
Secure
we
it.
got right. We got a question in the chat. The Virginia Bushcrafter's asking, "What's your thoughts on bleed stop for all minor cuts to severe bleeding wounds?"
Blood stop.
Blood stop. Are you talking like quick clot, C-locks?
Oh, bleed stop.
Elaborate for me, Virginia Bushcrafter. Could you show how to stage a cat tourniquet for fast use? Absolutely, Backwoods. So here's how mine is staged. And see, now you're gonna make me go into action mode. So Backwoods Rambler asks, how do you stage it? So this is one of my medical bags. I'm not going to open this up. This has over 250 items in it that I use. I have several of these. I have one upstairs. I have one downstairs. So to stage my cat tourniquet, the way I carry it, this is how I do mine. So with a cat tourniquet, this is what you want. So you can apply a cat tourniquet to yourself if you have a limb that is free and available. So you can get it and get it on quick, and then apply it, tighten down the windlass, and you're in business. So how I stage mine is there's a red tab on here, okay? The first thing I do after I take it out of the package, I take mine apart so that I have a loop, okay? This red tab, when you look at this red tab is going to draw your eye to it, so you're going to grab the tip, okay? I don't do that. I hide that. So I take it at about a quarter of an inch, 2 inches, 3 inches down, and fold it onto itself. This is Velcro all the way down. I fold it on there so this hides. I don't want to see the red tab. So with that, then I come below the buckle on the right where the buckle and the windlass sit in the hook, and I fold it like that. Okay. Then I fold it right here at the buckle. And that's how you can stage it quickly. You guys can see that. That's how I stage mine. Because if I need to use this, I can literally grab it and deploy it with one hand and get it going. See, I don't worry about pulling the red tab because I have this much of it to grab to pull off of itself. So it'll sit like that. And then I can grab it and literally fling it, and it's going to open it up. And that way, now I can begin to apply it. Now, Chester, you may stage yours differently. You got to stage it for what works for you.
Absolutely.
So I literally, that's how I stage mine, so that I can grab it and literally fling it, and now it's deployed, and I can wrap it around myself, my arm, my leg, or whoever's. Does that make sense, Backwoods Rambler? Okay, Virginia Bushcrafter said it's granular.
Okay.
So
So,
you're talking Celox.
right. So it's still a clotting agent. As far as I know, for minor cuts, that would be all right for minor cuts. Maybe even for people on blood thinners. But
Right.
emergency response tends to stay away from that and go more to, we lean more towards the gauze, because the issue with the powder is it's not get like more major or severe wounds. The
Mhm.
powder or the granules isn't getting down far enough to where it needs to be in order to start the clotting process. And the other issue is wind. If you're, depending on where you are, all that stuff's just going to get blown away versus everything's in a contained sponge or gauze, what have you. And you just pack the wound or place it on the wound, depending on uh, the
The
injury.
wound itself. Yeah. And,
Right.
and you're right, Virginia Bushcrafter. He's heard doctors don't recommend it because so now they can't get it out of the wound, and now they have to clean it and rinse it out even more just to get that out of it. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that was more of the earlier versions of this.
Okay.
It was more of a problem irrigating that, but also the other issue with the first rollout of these powders was it was exothermic. So once it made contact with your patient's
Right.
skin, it would
Right.
cause burns.
So it would cause burn. So it does burn also.
Absolutely.
So
But
is
that was
that
the
part of the clotting process for
I,
it to burn?
I think it was more like a secondary process, but
Okay.
I think
Gotcha.
they've since fixed that issue, but
Uh-huh.
they're still leaning towards the gauze rather than the granules and powders.
Correct. Okay. Got you. So Klingon Princess, good evening. Welcome. Thank you for joining. She says she seriously hate the idea of having to stuff a puncture wound. Makes her squeamish. So here's what I would say to that. If it's somebody near and dear to you, child, spouse, whatever, you're going to do whatever's necessary to save their life. So instead of stuffing it in, you would make a wad and apply pressure on it and keep pressure on it until you can start getting another bandage with your other hand and start wrapping it around the wound to keep the pressure applied to that bunch of gauze. Now, yes, it's absolutely going to help even more if you can stuff them in there. But yes, I understand what you mean by that for sure. Okay, bleeding. What else can we use? Quick clot gauze, compression gauze. Compression gauze are, if I'm not mistaken, what's the word? I'm getting old. Self-adhering. They will stick to their self once you begin to apply the pressure. You don't have to use the old school metal clips anymore to clip it on. They have Velcro on them. So as you're wrapping and pulling and wrapping and pulling and applying pressure, the compression gauze will apply pressure to the wound to help stop the bleeding. What else, Chester, for bleeding?
Another option, I think you're probably referring to maybe like an ACE wrap.
Correct.
Right? Is that what you were
Yes.
talking about? Yeah.
Yes, ACE wrap. Yes.
So another option would be the conform gauze or rolled gauze.
Okay.
It's got a little bit of a stretch to it, not as
Uh-huh.
much as an ace wrap, but
Right.
it's mainly made out of gauze, and that'll do just as well. The only difference is you'll have to use some medical tape to secure it, but you can still add a decent
Okay.
amount of pressure to that wound,
Okay.
depending on how much gauze or material you have underneath it.
On hand, right,
Right.
and underneath it. Got you, got you. Now, one of my favorite tools for stopping the bleeds, particularly gunshots, are chest seals. And believe it or not, I only learned about chest seals about a year ago, and I was like, "What is this?" So, and I'm not a doctor, and I don't pretend to be one. That's why Chester's here. He's the medical expert, as I say. So with a gunshot wound, and correct me or give me the correct term when it is when it's a sucking chest wound, meaning it's pulling in air or pushing out air. Which one is it, Chester?
It's doing both with inspiration and exhalation.
Okay, as
Either
you
way,
breathe,
the air is
gunshot
not
wound.
staying where it's supposed to.
Right, the air is not staying supposed to in your lungs. So you have chest seals that are vented that only allow the air one way. Correct?
Yes, because you don't
Okay.
want to be inhaling through
Exhaling.
your chest.
Right. You want to. Yes. So it. Yeah. See. Yeah. Either way it goes. A chest seal seals the hole so that you're not breathing out through your chest. And the thing about it is chest seals come in a 2-pack because you could have an entrance wound and you could have an exit wound. So you put a chest seal over both of them. That way now you can begin to not only lose blood from there, but you can begin to breathe somewhat normal, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, that's something I think you should definitely have some instruction in applying those. I mean, it's good to have in your medical kit. It won't
Right.
take up much space. It's, what was I saying? Oh, it won't take up much space, but it's good to have just in case somebody has that
Right.
knowledge, because there's certain things you have to look for with those types
Uh-huh.
of injuries, and even certain chest seals, or even occlusive dressings, there's other injuries that may occur or side effects from applying those that you have to look out for. So definitely get some training on those.
On using chest seals, right? So Backwoods Ramblers talking about the good old Israeli bandage. I like the Israeli bandage just because for me it's cool. So Chester, you want to explain what an Israeli bandage is and what it does?
Yeah. It's another type of it's like a bulky compression gauze.
Okay.
So it'll do a couple of it'll do the job of a couple of items in one. You can also
Okay.
pack wounds with it and
Right.
use the rest of it to add compression.
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, doesn't it have a clip on it that once you've got compression and all of that wrapped up, it pins to itself?
Right. It'll keep it secure. Now
Yeah.
you can also I know there's some bandages that also have the clotting agent on it. Of course, that's going to be, more
Yes.
expensive than
Yes.
plain ones, but
Right.
again,
And
that's on your budget.
correct. So here's my cheap plug, folks. here at Vision Preparedness, we've put together our own VFAC kit that as soon as our website's done, we'll have them available. In our VFAC kit, there are Israeli bandages that have the clotting agent in them. We have all top-notch medical gear in these kits. I'm not telling you or even asking you to buy them from us, but this is one of the things, this is our standard kit right here. And I'm going to use this just because we're talking about Israeli bandages that Backwoods Rambler brought up. And so this is our kit, which of course has a tourniquet, cat tourniquet in it. It's got compression gauze, everything else. And it does have an Israeli 6-inch Israeli bandage in it. So as you can see, this is shrink wrapped. And if I'm not mistaken, the Israeli bandages we use have the hemostatic agent in the pad. So I definitely would say pick up some Israeli bandages. They work and they're very good. And that was my shameless plug for our VFAC kit. We have them, and that's about as much information you're going to get on it tonight. Okay, moving on. After chest seal, so we covered bleeding. Of course, Band-Aids. If you need Band-Aids, put Band-Aids in there, especially if you have kids. I'm not going to let the cat out the bag of what my team and I came up with last night. That's we're bringing to market shortly also. So let's move on to airway. So with the airway, Chester, and I can never pronounce this, so I'm going to just call it an NPA tube.
There you go. That'll work. Nasopharyngeal airways, but NPA works. It's quicker.
Right. Yes. Nasal pharyngeal airway. This is a tube that literally will, especially if it's a person, correct me if I'm wrong, an unconscious person, because if you're unconscious and you're laying on your back, I'm assuming, your tongue could block your airway. So this tube is a tube that slips up your nose and opens up your airway. Yeah. So, and actually I did some training on it and used it on a live person, and it was way easier than I thought, because it has lubrication that comes with the tube that you lube it, and you literally, it's shaped in a curve that as you insert it, it goes right up the nasal cavity and opens up the airway. Yeah, MMS, that's a nasopharyngeal airway tube. NPA.
Yeah, it's a good way to maintain someone's airway.
Okay.
Another bonus to that is if, sonorous breathing, or somebody that's got a serious gag reflex if you're doing oral airways. But
okay. So oral airways, that mean you're intubating them?
Kind of. I don't want to get too far into that.
We don't need to. I've watched a lot of TV. Pay no attention to me.
We're gonna try and keep this simple and
okay,
not get into the weeds where we all end up with PhDs at the end of this.
No, nobody's giving. I got no PhD. So the NPA tube comes in two sizes, if I'm not mistaken. One is a 28 and the other is a 20.
Yes, the 20 is pediatric.
Yes, the 20 is for kids, and the 28 is
28 French is standard for adults.
Adults, okay. So I would say, folks, if you have kids, get one of each. Get a size 20, which is the pediatric size, like Chester said, and the 28 is for adults. Those are good things to have. You never know. Again, get proper medical training.
Absolutely. Now I read my mother Sparks made a comment about being covered in blood after being on scene, which reminds me of that one of the first things I know most sticklers are
Oh.
going to talk about. Yep, PPEs.
Yeah, we didn't glove up.
Yep, personal protective equipment. Now,
Right.
you can buy kits wherever you
Mhm.
decide to, but
Mhm.
I suggest opening those bags or looking at them and making sure those gloves actually fit you, especially for the
Ooh.
women out there, or some men have small hands. The
She
last
didn't
thing you
say
want to
that.
do is put on some extra large gloves and you're fighting with those fingertips flopping around when you're trying to do your thing.
Right. Right.
So
Yes.
a suggestion would be to maybe augment your kit with some gloves that actually fit you or fit the person that would be using those kits, and be aware of any allergies. It doesn't matter whether it's the gloves are, off white, black, purple, pink, whatever matches your hair color. So
Right.
just,
So in our V kits, we have blue nitrile gloves that are the size is large.
yeah.
So just because, but yes, we forgot all about that under bleeding. Glove up, carry them, carry couple pair of them because there's nothing worse than putting one on and your hand rips right through it.
Yep.
So carry a couple pairs of gloves. That's if you have time to get to them. Now,
Right.
put it here. Here's my disclaimer about gloves. If it's a family member or somebody close to me, I don't care about getting their blood on me. I'm going to save their life.
All right.
Now,
Absolutely.
at least a stranger, I would think about it. I may not put on gloves, but I'm going to at least think about it first
All right.
because there's
And
all kind of nasty diseases out there that are bloodborne pathogens.
yeah, but again, yes, you should be wearing PPE, but your people underestimate the skin. As long as you don't have any cuts or open wounds on your hands,
Yeah,
there you can do your thing, depending on how much time you think you've got to respond, you can do it and still, of course you're gonna wash your hands and take care of that. But your
right.
your skin is a natural barrier as long as you don't have any open cuts or wounds.
Okay, that's good. So with that, I'm going to talk about a book real quick that every prepper should have. We're not affiliated with these folks, although I would like to be, but right now we're not. And this is, and you've probably seen it on everybody's channel that's ever talked about it. This is the Survival Medical Guide, Medical Handbook, the Essential Guide for when help is not on the way. This is the new one, the fourth edition. Okay, you can get this on Amazon. This is an amazing book. I actually have their Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy. I actually have the first edition of this book, and I recommend it to everybody. Buy it and read it and use it for a reference book. So that with that, I would do that. It's a great book that I read it and I highlight stuff and I bookmark stuff, and I'm not even halfway through it yet. But that is a good book. Okay, Airway. Anything else you can think of, Chester, about Airways?
Airways. Maybe going back to CPR, a
Okay.
mask.
CPR mask, CPR shield.
Yep, CPR
Yep.
mask, a shield. Some of us that are
Right.
lucky enough to have access to it, we'll have an ambu bag, preferably, but just another consideration.
I have no clue what an ambu bag is, and that sounds like it hurts. So I'm gonna leave that alone. I'll go with a CPR shield.
Yep, absolutely. CPR shield or pocket shield.
Right,
Especially
exactly.
nowadays with the things supposedly going around. So
Right, whatever the latest
right,
flavor of the day arm ticket is.
exactly.
Okay,
But again, you don't need
yeah.
that for family member. Well, I guess it depends on which, how you, which family
How
member
you
it is.
view your family. Yeah,
There
you,
you go.
you may have some people you don't like in the family.
Right.
Like, man, I don't know where them lips been.
Exactly. So yeah.
Okay, let's take some questions from the chat. Any questions, folks? Klingon Princess talks about choking and clearing obstructions. Would that be the Heimlich maneuver? Or are you sticking your finger in their mouth? What would you prefer, Chester?
Well, I'm trying to figure out what Klingon Princess was referring to, but I know
Right.
earlier one of her posts, she did take a course or two.
Okay.
So
What courses did you take, Klingon Princess?
I'm not sure if she's referring to maybe a device to clear obstructions.
Right.
Or finger sweeps.
Or finger sweeps, right. Okay, she'll get back to us. All right, let's move on to the next section. Burns. Whew. That I don't do burns well. But because I go back to the days of burning, grandma would want to put butter on it. Run your arm under cold water, then put butter on it. I have no clue what that did other than made you smell like butter.
Oh, according to my mother's Spark, mustard also works.
Mustard. I'd rather have it on my hot dogs. but those are good home remedies. But when it comes to burns, you've got burn gel, if I'm not mistaken.
There's burn gel. But again, there's different severities for burns. The best thing I think you can do for maybe the minor burns is a whole lot of irrigation. And
water, you're talking water?
Yep, saline.
Water. Okay.
Yep. And then we've moved away from wet dressings over the burns because that tends to slow the healing process. So they've moved on to dry dressings on top. And of course, please don't use any of the cotton thready gauze pads because that just makes things worse for the aftercare.
Aftercare.
Yeah.
So would you use a not adhering pads?
Right. Irrigate and then use the dry it off, non-adherent pads and wrap it. And depending on the severity, try and get them to the nearest hospital or unit.
Right. Klingon Princess asks, plastic wrap. On a burn, I don't know. I would prefer to go with also there's a burn dressing you can use.
Yep.
I've never heard plastic wrap, but of course, you never know. So, anything else about burns?
I'm not
so
sure.
So let me ask you this. I'm gonna quiz you. What is it? What classifies a third-degree burn?
They actually moved away from the degrees. They went from
really
first, second, third degrees to percentages to now. They're trying to simplify it because it was just too hard to determine. So, now it's just minor burns and moderate burns and full thickness burns. It's
okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm old then because first, second, third degree burns.
Right. I think most of us are still used to that nomenclature. But
Right. Okay. So you got burn severities, and again, that's where you want to clean it and cover it with a non-adherent pad so that, the little cotton, it's not being
Yep.
pulled when they take it off of.
And
The
dry.
Yes, and dry. Gotcha.
And also, people tend to forget that with these burns,
Uh-huh.
they're gonna burn for a little while afterwards, which is, it goes along with the pain. And during
Okay.
that time, people tend to, depending on how much of a burn it is,
Mhm.
they get hypothermic. So you want to be cautious about that. Most people address the burn itself, but then forget
Mhm.
to keep the patient warm.
So that's when you would probably wrap them in a emergency rescue blanket.
You could if you have
If
that.
you have it, yeah.
Yep.
Well, if there was
There
a
you
shameless
go.
plug, but I'll leave it alone.
Yep, that works.
Emergency rescue blanket, folks.
Yep, that's another reason why those are in first aid kits.
First aid kits, yes,
For
because
hypothermia.
yes, for hypothermia, and they help the victim contain 90% of their body heat. Got to keep them warm. Okay, it's what time is it? 10:24. Good Lord, time flies when you're talking medical. Okay, let's move on from burns. Let's talk about sprains and fractures. Lord knows I've had my share of broken bones and sprained ankles and torn ligaments. So what are they using these days for fractures?
A good option would be a SAM splint, something that
Sam splint.
yes, it's
Sam splint.
a moldable splint. They come in
Okay.
different sizes, foam
Right.
backed, and will
Okay.
yeah.
Huh. Let's
Oh.
let's take a look here.
I wonder who would have one.
I don't know, but I'm going to look here because I know in the back. Uh-oh. Oh, wrong compartment. In here is a SAM splint. This is foam backed and it's pliable. So you can shape it. So if you have a broken arm, you can take it and it will bend up and wrap itself around the extremity to hold it. Is that correct?
Yes, to stabilize
Yes.
it. You just
To
have to be
stabilize.
you just have to be mindful of the extremity when
Right.
you're moving it to splint it so that you don't cause further injury. And the other thing
Gotcha.
that's nice about that SAM splint is if you had
Uh-huh.
trauma shears in that kit, you could actually trim it down for pediatric use.
Wow. He's just teeing it up tonight, folks. So make sure if you get a kit that you do have trauma shears in it. And the good thing I like about trauma shears, if I can find them, there they are, is the fact. So these are a small pair of trauma shears. They have a tab on the bottom of them. I don't know if you guys can see that. So if you're cutting somebody's shirt or pants, you're not going to dig into their skin. This is like a guide that goes right along as you're cutting. And he's saying you can use these to trim the SAM splint.
Yes.
So that is good. That is good.
And that's also another item that I would caution people about while purchasing. Some of the ones that you can find, yes, they're fairly inexpensive. You can find them on the online store, large distributor, but most of those will not last you.
Okay.
They may be 1 to 3 time use. And while you're using them, you may or may not feel them flex and not cut. So I would suggest after you use them, toss them, get another pair, or buy yourself a decent pair and use it for a while.
Gotcha. Backwoods Rambler asks a question. What's the difference in treatment between a heat burn and a chemical burn?
Ooh, that's a
Good
good
question.
question.
Good
Yeah.
question.
You want to
Ding,
take
ding,
that?
ding.
You want to take that
No,
one?
no, I'm not that guy.
Let me pop quiz you.
And I've never stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, so I have no idea.
All right. So heat burns. You would treat that the traditional way, hopefully without margarine, butter, peanut butter, jelly.
Okay.
But chemical burns you have to be cautious about, especially when you're irrigating.
Okay.
Hopefully, if you're around certain chemicals, whether and possibly a work area, there's a thing called your MSDS sheet where you could look up
Yes.
the chemicals, and because some of those chemicals will actually react when you add water, so you will make the burn worse.
Make it worse.
But yeah, I would suggest, depending on what chemicals you may be around, whether they're in your household or in your workplace, to be aware of which chemicals are there and look at those sheets so you know how to properly address those.
So the MSDS sheets are the material safety data sheets, folks, that your job, if especially at work, they have to provide you that information.
Yes.
Under OSHA regulations.
Right.
Yes. Good question, Backwoods Rambler.
Very
Excellent
good question.
Yes. So he also talks, he has SAM splints and finger splints. I have finger splints also that are similar to the SAM splints that have Velcro wraps around them.
Another suggestion is if you can't find the finger splints and you have kids, save your popsicle sticks.
Ooh, there you go, folks. Save your popsicle sticks.
You can actually trim those down to fit their little fingers and use some medical tape to secure it. And
excellent.
It'll be all right.
So now medical tape, you can get the, what is it, cloth medical tape, and you can also get waterproof medical tape. Either one works well. Yes, either one. But yes, save in popsicle sticks. Wash the blue off of them and, let them dry. But yes, very good.
Works great.
Okay. Yeah, that does work great for fingers. Okay, let's talk about hydration. Has anybody ever been dehydrated? I have. So of course, when it comes to being hydrated, the quick and most effective way is to get an IV into that person, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but I'm not a doctor, and I don't carry IV bags.
Right. And
so,
and for those of you that have ever had to hike with IV bags, it's not a fun task.
Yeah, because you're basically carrying bags of water.
Right. And
which will weigh your pack down.
Yep.
Yeah.
But for hydration, I think everyone should stay hydrated on a somewhat regular basis if you can. But a way to augment that would be electrolytes. A lot of people forget about electrolytes. So small electrolyte or drink packets that have the electrolytes in there would be a good thing to have.
Right. Absolutely. Hydration salts that have, the powder, you pour it in water, like Chester was talking about, pour it in water, shake it up, drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or carry Pedialyte. If you have kids, buy Pedialyte by the cases and have that available.
Yeah, Pedialyte or the packets or both. I mean, the packets are nice to have because you can throw them in a bag. They take up little space and they're fairly light. Even even having one of those once in a while when you're doing strenuous activity is a good idea. Because people
Yeah,
think, oh,
when I'm yes, when
I've
I'm
been
cutting wood, I'll drink some.
there you go. Because sure, you may be pounding water the whole time, but you're not replenishing exactly what you're losing. You could be, for all you know, you could have started out dehydrated and all you're doing is drinking water, and it's not really, you're not getting to where you should be because of those minerals. People tend to
Right.
think, oh, I need to cut down on my salt so I can be
Mm-mm.
hydrated. No, you need
Mm-mm.
salt
You
in
need
your
that
intake.
iodine. Yep,
Yep.
absolutely. Backwoods Rambler. Yeah, Weatherman trauma shears, they're amazing. I like them. Um, for my budget, they're a little expensive, but they're good. I mean, yeah, but get a pair of trauma shears regardless. I don't care what you spend for them, have a pair. Virginia Bushcrafter says that Emergency has a lot of electrolytes in it also. You're right, it does. I actually take Emergency daily on a daily. That's part of my daily regimen of stuff that I take.
Oh, it just occurred to me. I think
Yes,
I just lost it. Backwoods Rambler was talking about. You said he considered Weatherman trauma sheet. I think
yes,
it was a typo or an autocorrect issue. It was Leatherman.
Leatherman. Got
Those
you. Yes,
those are very good.
yes,
Let's see. I'm trying to think of the other ones that I would recommend, but yeah, those are that is definitely not a bad option. Definitely
right.
better than the cheap ones that you can find,
Yes,
and those will definitely last you.
yes. And actually, we have some pretty good trauma shears also that are very good, but it's not about us today.
Yeah. As another suggestion,
Mm-hmm.
opposed to the Leathermans, there's a pair called the X Shear that are also,
X shear.
yes, X
Okay.
SHEAR. They're
SHE.
titanium coated, and
Wow.
those are very well made. So
Okay.
if you're
Titanium coat.
if you're wanting a really good pair of shears that won't break the bank, I think they'll cost less than the Leathermans,
Uh
but
huh.
that is definitely a good option that I would recommend.
Klingon Princess is asking, would one have to autoclave shears after using them or boiling water?
Boiling water works fine. Washing them off using soap and water or some kind of antibacterial soap. You don't have to autoclave. Um, really, that's surgical. You're
Right.
thinking,
Yeah.
really,
Exactly.
the only time
Honest.
you're not going to be doing surgery with those
Right.
shears. So
Yeah. Honestly, I would probably pour some alcohol or water on them,
yep,
or hit them
wash
with
them
some
off.
hand sanitizer
Yep,
and dry them off and keep it moving.
yep,
But yeah,
rinse.
boiling water, boil some water, drop them in there for a couple of minutes, pull them out, dry them off, and put them away. Yes.
Yep. But that was a good question.
Yes. Very good question. Very good question. Okay, let's move on to, we're going to hit real lightly because we've had this conversation many a nights. Medication, and we're talking over the counter medication. Unless you're dealing with your family, your family's medications, what they can and can't take. So just some quick medications. What ibuprofen? Right. Yeah, you're right. Backwoods. Yeah, Leathermans. Leathermans are good. They are. I would love to have some. Maybe one day somebody will get me some for Christmas or my birthday, or actually use a pair and just say, "Here, I saved your life. Keep them." I'd be like,
Yeah,
"Thank
Leatherman's definitely last. I still have my Leatherman tool from Bosnia. It's one of the maybe first
Okay.
or second generation ones. So, and that
Hey.
thing's still trucking. So,
Exactly, exactly. So medication, ibuprofen, aspirin, Tylenol, Benadryl, what else? Naproxen.
um, and your prescribed medication. People tend
Right,
to forget about that too. Uh,
right.
and also, if you get those ready-made kits that come with medication,
Uh-huh.
look at those contents to see if you or any of your family members may have allergies to those medications and take them out so you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
And then
Um, yeah,
supplement it with whatever works for you or your family members and get your prescription meds in there. It doesn't hurt to have a couple doses in those kits.
right.
Just make sure to keep up with them and their expiration dates.
Yep, exactly. Uh, Backwoods Rambler says he uses Liquid IV from Walmart. I did not know Walmart has Liquid IV.
Yep, sure
Huh.
do. That's good
You,
stuff.
you,
You don't have to pay the high dollar prices
right.
for certain ones. You know, everyone's all about the Gucci gear and the
Nah, I don't do
latest
Gucci gear.
and
I
best.
want something to save my life now.
Exactly.
My only brand would be a genuine North American Rescue cat tourniquet.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna go with for my Gucci gear. But
Yeah,
that's a good thought there, Backwoods Rambler. Appreciate that comment.
yeah, but you can definitely find those at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens. They've got everyone's got some type of version of that.
Okay. My mother Sparks says Midol. Okay. Um, I tend to stay away from medications just because I'm that guy. I don't do medications and I have a high tolerance for pain. Plus I'm hard headed. So um, yeah, I'm serious. You know, when I get sick, I'll dose myself with Theraflu and put on a pair of sweats and get under 3 comforters. And the next morning, I'm good as gold and ready to go. You know, I'll do some vitamin C, some vitamin C or emergency, and some zinc, and I'm good to go.
Actually,
Um,
Midol wouldn't be a bad idea, depending on whether you've got a teenage girls that may
right,
have
exactly.
reached a certain age, or even teenage boys. Some of them need some Midol too.
Okay.
I might have to stock up on some of that so I can just start tossing it out the window at certain.
Exactly, exactly. Now, I know one of my family members, they can't take um, ibuprofen and stuff. The only thing they can take is naproxen.
Right.
So I think I have like 2,000 tablets of naproxen.
Yeah.
So
Just make
I
sure you
keep that.
store them properly and
Correct.
keep up with the dates. If you're going to use them, make sure you rotate them out.
Got to rotate them out, folks.
Yeah.
And I'm sure now everybody in the live stream's heard of the Jace case, the antibiotics. I got mine back in April when I first heard about it, and it's amazing. I mean, the antibiotics that they prescribe for you is amazing. If you haven't seen it, just there's a link on our YouTube channel, an affiliate. You don't have to buy them from us, but click on it and go read about everything you have to do. It literally took me less than 10 minutes to order mine, and I had them within a week. $259 I spent, or $249, one of the two. But with that, any other over-the-counter medication? Tylenol. What is that liquid stuff? NyQuil, which I don't take. But if you need NyQuil,
Just some kind of pain reducer.
right? Yep.
Allergy. allergy meds.
Yep,
And
Benadryl.
then your prescription meds, of course, and make sure those meds aren't something that you or your family members are allergic to. Put something
Correct.
that you can use in there.
Right. And of course, right, Pepcid for dismal and anti-diarrhea medication, which I keep that as well, because you never know the water you drink, even though you may have run it through your Berkey or your Life Straw or your Sawyer or whatever, and you drink something, or you may not have a filter, but you haven't had water in a day. Don't forget, folks, you can only go for so long without water.
Yep. And having diarrhea will not help your dehydration. That'll just
Correct.
speed things up. So
It'll speed things up. Exactly. What is it? 3 days? 3 days without water?
yes.
Yes. 3 days. So if I haven't had water in 3 days and there's a creek and I don't have a life straw, guess what? I'm drinking the water. So
Oh, you don't
that's
you don't have a fire source to boil the water?
of course I do. I can throw sparks. I can boil the water, but for if there's for some ungodly reason, and all I have is my side iron and some freedom seeds, and I'm on the run or going to run to get somebody,
Yep.
I'm gonna drink the creek water. But if I'm in my truck, I keep a gallon of water in my truck. So
There you go.
yeah. Okay. Real quick, topical. What type of topical ointments should be in your medical kit?
How about some antibiotic ointment? Maybe
Yep.
some cortisone
Okay.
after bite for kids.
Right.
Maybe something for those minor burns. Again, you're not going to use those burn gels on more severe burns. That's
Right.
just keep that to the smaller stuff.
Small stuff. Yep. Some cortisone with aloe vera in it or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you know that they make a Benadryl in a liquid?
Pump spray.
It's a spray and a gel. I found some at Walmart, Benadryl gel, that works just as good as the pills and the spray. Also, Imodium for the meds. Yeah, my mother Sparks. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's
alcohol.
Yeah, I mean the Imodium and the Pepto would be a good thing, especially if you're outdoors in the woods, in the mountains, wherever. But
yes, yes,
definitely a good idea to have on you.
Correct. But as far as topical, Klingon Princess, alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, witch hazel, absolutely. Calamine lotion, sunscreen, antifungal, all of that. I've got some, I forget what it's called, but it's for the body parts that move constantly. If you're walking for like miles and miles upon days.
Oh, like a anti-chafing.
Yes, anti-chafing cream. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all good things to have. Betadine swabs. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, one of the favorite products that all mothers of the world use are tweezers. Got to have tweezers in your kit. Huh.
Useful for splinters.
Useful for splinters. Yes. Icy hot. Ben Gay. Wait a minute. I'm not that old. Do I need Ben Gay? I don't need Ben Gay. What am I going to use Ben Gay for? Klingon Princess says she carries Benadryl. Yep, dissolving sheets. Oh, wow. She's allergic to kiwi and have been unknowingly exposed. Okay, good. Another thing, folks, if you're in, if I may not be correct, if you have a, what is it, peanut allergy and you need an EpiPen, is that correct?
Yes.
If you know you have, if you have an EpiPen, get as many of them things as you can get your hands on and keep them, please.
Yes.
Please.
That along with your refills for your
Right.
prescribed meds.
Correct. Correct. But yeah, that's I didn't know that Benadryl had dissolving sheets.
I didn't know either. That's a new one on me. I'm gonna have to look for that.
So do you take those orally? I'm assuming you do. That's good. Yeah, tweezers. My mother Sparks is good on tweezers. and yeah, okay. I'm gonna find a specialty tweezer for you. Real-time pain relief. Yes. So one other thing that I came across, and when I found it, I ended up buying like 10 more, is a dental emergency repair kit. You have an abscessed tooth, a cracked tooth, a filling that comes out, a cap that comes off. The dental repair kit will handle all of that. One of the best natural numbing agents I have discovered is liquid clove. You can buy it in the organic section of your grocery store. You put it on a Q-tip and it will instantly take the pain away. It is 1,000 times better than, what is that, Orajel and all that other stuff. Or you can make liquid clove. You can make a tincture and use it that way too. Okay, topical. So we've got the last section. Well, nope, 2 to go and we're going to be done. Adventure and survival. One thing I will say, everybody should carry paracord, correct? Everybody have paracord, 550 paracord. Carry it. Put it in your first aid kit. You never know. You may have to use that to make a sling if you don't have a triangular bandage. You can use the paracord to tie the arm up close to the body and make a sling out of it. What else, Chester, could we do?
Well, if we're going into an adventure and survival scenario,
Yes. Yep.
I would add, well, the blankets again.
Emergency rescue blanket. Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And maybe some sort of fire kit. Again, that'll help. That'll also
Fire
help
kit.
with regulating body temperature.
Right. Exactly. So with that, ferro rod, lighters. I prefer ferro rod just because I'm a kid at heart.
Stormproof matches.
Stormproof matches. Absolutely. And last but not least would be our specialty section for your medical kit, shears, EMT shears, trauma shears. What else? I would even throw, fire kit into the specialty area just in case. Who? What is that? The Virginia Bushcrafter?
Oh, a shamog.
A shamog. Yes, absolutely. A shamog will work. Absolutely.
Yep.
You never know.
Multi-function.
Yes, it has multiple functions a shamog will use. Absolutely right. Good, Virginia Bushcrafter. Absolutely a shamog. First aid toothpaste, medicine. Right. Clove oil. Absolutely. Clove oil. I swear by clove oil, backwoods rambler. That's all I'll use if I have a toothache or pain or things like that. So Klingon Princess asked, are snake bite kits what they're cracked up to be? She lives in the Pacific North Coast. We don't have poisonous snakes. What about tick removers? I don't have a snake bite kit.
I think if you're in an area where snakes are prevalent, it wouldn't be bad to have it.
Yeah.
But the main thing would be, I would be knowledgeable about where my nearest facility would be, how long it would take me to get to a facility that could treat that.
Right.
If you're not certain about the snakes in your area, you could always call fire or EMS. They would probably have a better idea.
Right.
Especially to get information about kits and what to look for.
Exactly.
Tick removers, I would definitely
tweezers.
I would be cautious about that.
Tick. So what my grandfather used to do when we would go fishing, and if we had a tick on us, he would take a lighter and burn it off.
Yes, that would work unless they start burrowing further.
Correct. Yeah, he would burn it off. That's old school.
I know there are some devices online that even for pets, they've got these devices that'll pull ticks. Yes.
There are devices that do that. I'm looking through the comments here in the chat. A shamog isn't that Jewish? Isn't that didn't that originate over in the Middle East?
The Middle East, yes. It's a head cover, almost like a large scarf.
Yeah.
You can place over your head for shade, cover your
correct.
face.
Klingon Princess says it sounds Yiddish. She says she said it sounds like a Yiddish curse. That's good. That's good. But yeah, there are tick remover kits.
My mother Spark wrote, clear nail polish will smother a tick.
Okay. Fire will kill it too.
Yep.
I'd rather pull out a lighter and burn it off. But if it's burrowed in, yeah, I need that tool.
I think the clear nail polish will smother them.
Okay, it smothers them.
And make them back out.
Okay, got you. Good. So Virginia Bushcrafter says it's India. It's from India. That's where the shamog works. Klingon Princess says Vicks Vapor Rub works too for topical remedies. Yeah, it does. All right, it's 10:56. We've been this for an hour and almost an hour and a half. You guys are awesome. I appreciate everybody in the chat for just wanting to spend an hour or more with a guy like me, because I'm just trying to get out information to help everybody, because the way the world is going right now, it doesn't look good. I'm not going to preach doom and gloom, because I'm not a doom and gloom guy. But I'm a prepper, and I want to be prepared for whatever happens. So if I come across information, I put it out there. You guys are awesome, have been awesome, are always awesome. Anything else, Chester, you want to throw in here before we finish up our what's in your medical kit? The sky is not falling, Chicken Little.
Maybe another suggestion for meds is caffeine pills.
Caffeine pills,
especially in an adventure and survival type scenario.
Is that going to keep me awake?
Yep. And for some of us some of us coffee drinkers, if we don't have access to coffee,
Uh-oh.
there you go. That'll take care of that headache for a little while until you can find your nearest Starbucks.
Yeah, then there is. Yeah, then there is an apocalypse if there is no
Exactly.
coffee. Oh, wait a minute. I have coffee in my preps. Huh?
Ah,
Huh? That's a good item to prep. Coffee.
absolutely.
Worst case, I can do. I can boil some water, throw it in a coffee filter. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's a prep too. So then I could do a pour over. Huh? Look at that. Starbucks ain't the only one that does pour over. Thursday night, Klingon Princess says she loves Thursday night for the stream. Perfect for my schedule. Thank you. You're very welcome, Klingon Princess. You know, I think it was the second live stream I did. I just happened to do it on a Thursday, and I was like, I asked everybody in the chat, does Thursday nights work? And I think you're on the West Coast, so you know I want to accommodate as many people as possible. And my mother Sparks, she does her lives on Thursday before mine, and I go over there and aggravate her and give her support, and then we bring it on back home here. I like Thursdays because it's just one day closer to Friday. Oh, and by the way, Klingon Princess, I have not forgotten about the email you sent me, and I did respond. And we are working on that. And I'm screaming and hollering about my guys to get that done on our website so we can begin to offer that. And I will keep you posted. And I will tell you this, the first class that you enroll in is free on me. Okay. I appreciate your, I don't want to say patronage, your friendship for sure. You can drop me an email anytime. Again, folks, anybody, if you need to know anything, want to know anything, just want to say, hey, you can drop me an email at visionpreparedness@gmail.com. What else, Chester? Anything else before we get out of here and let everybody go? It's 11 o'clock. It's past my bedtime.
Just as a reminder, if you don't have it yet, make sure you try and get those CPR, stop the bleed, first aid courses.
Yes.
You can find somebody online that may offer those courses online.
Yes.
Someone near to you, you can go to fire EMS stations.
Yes.
They'll offer those classes. Make sure you get trained up before you buy all this stuff that you don't know how to use.
That's
and
true.
Also, it doesn't have to burn up your bank account, but don't get hemmed up with all that. You know, I've got to get this one because it's got the clotting agent. Clotting agent is nice to have, but it's not a deal breaker. The main thing that will help with the bleeding is pressure. So if you can't afford or find any of those items with clotting agents, get the standard ones, put those up.
Yeah. And if you can't find them and you need and you want them, shoot me an email. I have a couple sources that, you know, we may be able to get them for you. Ain't no big deal. And you know, because we're here to help everybody. I'm not like some other channels that want to sell you a bunch of stuff, because that's not what it's about. That's not why I'm here. But if I can find it for you, I definitely will look. That is for sure. Klingon Princess says all those courses are offered free. That's right. They're free through the fire department and OES. Plus, they give you sweet things like tourniquets. You're absolutely correct. They do. I do know if you take a Stop the Bleed class, you get a Stop the Bleed kit that comes with the class, and tourniquets and all that stuff are included in it. Again, training, 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 folks, because you never know when you're going to need it. And it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Okay?
And also train up the people that are in your group or in your family, because yes, you may have the training, but what happens if you're the injured person?
That is very true.
Everyone should, I think everyone should be trained in how to stop the bleed, first aid, and CPR.
Yes, absolutely. And I will say this, I took a Stop the Bleed course, and I'm going to take the Stop the Bleed instructor course so that we can start teaching that class as a free course. That's going to be one of our free courses, and we're going to teach as many people as we can and get it done. But everybody should have that in a basic CPR course to start with. With that, any other questions or comments? Right. The Klingon Princess says the government has given a lot of funds to local government to supply counties. That's true. The Stop the Bleed course is a national government funded campaign. That's why all of the fire departments offer that class for free. Okay. And our goal is, once we start offering it, that we everybody that takes the class will get a tourniquet. Yeah, that's right. These days and times, Virginia Bushcrafter, you are absolutely correct. He actually said, free class? Yes. Yes, it is a free, the Stop the Bleed course is a free course. Contact your local fire department. They offer the classes for free. And they're about anywhere between an hour to 4 hours. It depends how deep they go. It'll be part of Stop the Bleed and a basic CPR course.
Yeah, even Red Cross.
Even the American Red Cross. Yeah. Yes.
And don't worry about those little cards or certificates for CPR. That, as long as you get the knowledge, you walk out of that class with that knowledge. That's the most important thing.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Klingon Princess. She says, I want to take visions classes for the practice and one-on-one. Yeah. We have a class this Saturday, our preparedness course we teach here locally. And that's one of the classes we're going to be offering online. And I don't want to get into all of that because it's not about me tonight. It's about helping the community as a whole. So, with that, what did my mother Sparks say? BP is one can teach like you. No one can teach like me. Well, I don't know about that. Well, that's true because there's only one of me.
I saw that coming.
Yeah, exactly. She teed that one up. There's only one of me. So, but yes, thank you for the comment. Thanks for calling me awesome. I'm just a guy trying to get to heaven. I'll say that. But again, any last comments, questions, concerns before we end this? Because every time we're here, I feel like I keep everybody way too long, and I'm concerned because it's your time, and I appreciate your time wanting to spend it with me. Klingon Princess says, I'm taking a free 3-week course in ham radio from EOS. So I'll miss yours, but soon I'll be there. You know what?
Is that EOS
Klingon,
or EMS?
I don't know. It says EOS. I hope she meant EMS. But if you're taking a free ham radio class, so that's one of my to-do lists on my prepping, is to get my ham radio operator's license.
Oh, yes, that's the basic one.
Yeah,
That's
the
on my
basic.
list too.
Yes, because I've got ham radios that my group uses. Let me know how that class was, Klingon Princess. Let me know how that goes for you. And shoot me an
Okay.
email.
Emergency operating system. Okay.
Emergency operator. Okay, system. Accounting. Okay, right. Okay, got you. Got you.
Maybe Klingon Princess can give us a course.
I was just getting ready to say, I may have just found a new instructor. We may have found a new instructor for vision preparedness here. But let me know how that class goes, Klingon Princess. Email me after the class, after your class. Let me know how it went. But yes, you're right, my mother Sparks. HSTF hit, we won't need a license and won't care. That is true, but because we're not into that, I want to at least be able to communicate with my group for now, just to do monthly tests and checks so that
Right.
we're all on the same page, that we can communicate. So when SHTF hits, we can communicate and listen.
It'd be good to get proficient at it before you actually need it.
Uh-oh. See, there's my guy. My guy always pops in and gives up the right information at the right time. Ham radio clubs offer them regularly. Okay, Matt, do you belong to a club, Matt? And if so, we need to talk, because that's what I need to look at. Thank you for that information. Ham radio clubs offer them all the time. I need to find a local club here and to just learn from. Yeah,
That's
that's
a good idea.
That's a good idea. Thank you very much, Matt. Klingon Princess said she's very interested in sharing real world preparedness, especially with the elderly and disabled. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have to look out for the elderly and disabled and caregivers. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, very few people touch on that subject, especially the elderly and disabled, especially with mobility issues and any other equipment they need.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Thank you, Matt. Okay. Yes, we'll talk about that, Matt, about the ham radio club thing. See, you guys are awesome. I learn from you guys every time we all get together. I learn something. As a matter of fact, yes, MMS. I'll invite Matt to our Skype group. I'll talk to him tomorrow and give him the details. And if he wants to join, he's more than welcome to. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yes, please. Anything else, folks? I'm ecstatic because hanging out with y'all, you know, I learned something, and if I can share something and we can all share something, then we all learn something. I don't care if I have 20 subscribers or 10,000, doesn't matter. I'm not here for the numbers. I'm here to share information and learn, because you can teach an old dog new tricks. And because I am that guy, that's what she said. So with that, everybody. So Matt says, yeah, Matt's been here. He can't chat much. He's driving home. He's been here, MMS, from like since 9:35. He's been here. Yeah, that's my guy. He stands on the wall like I do. He's been here. So we still have an hour and 45 minutes. We'll do that in the green room after the live. So with that, folks, But yes, Klingon Princess, please shoot me an email after your class, and I'm going to respond to you because I may invite you to our group as well, even though you're on the West Coast. That's okay. We'll go from there. As Backwoods Rambler says, everything you can learn helps. I've taken active shooter and man tracking courses. So have I. Matter of fact, our team is coming up for our active shooter class later in August. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. That's good, Backwoods. Yes. Active shooter training and man tracking courses are a skill that's needed. So let's just do a quick roll call. Put in the chat what state's everybody in, because I'm in Ohio, so I'm just trying to gauge a geographical awareness for myself. Yeah, Klingon Princess man tracking course. Okay, Klingon Princess is in California. My mother Sparks is in the South. Okay, so we've gone from Midwest to the South to the West Coast. All we need is somebody on the East Coast, and we pretty much cover the country. That's good. That's good. Okay, Backwoods is in the South. Matt's in North Central Ohio. Okay. Absolutely. Okay, folks, I'm done. I appreciate you guys. Marco, my man Marco's in the Southeast. Good to see you. Thank you for showing up. Virginia Bushcrafters in Virginia. Backwoods is in Alabama. I'm in Ohio, doing well. Everybody good. So thank you, folks. I appreciate you. Thank you for spending some time out of your evening to hang out with this crazy guy that actually believes in making a difference in the world. Keep prepping, because your family depends on it and your life depends on it. This is Trent for Vision Preparedness. Everybody have an amazing evening. Have a safe weekend. Be situational aware as you go out and about. Keep your friends close. Keep your enemies closer. God bless. And everybody have a good evening. Take care.